not separated by cabinets because I'm the only one here. Brandon Miracle here, broadcasting the Nintendo Stuff podcast all by himself. If you're wondering where my cohorts are, Logan is currently on the road on the way home to visit his family because of his birthday. So that just leaves me. You know, I've never had the opportunity to do a podcast alone, so I figured why not make today the day. Today's an experiment. We're just going to see what happens, so glad you're all along for the ride. It's me! Just me. So we got some interesting things here on the docket today. If you saw the title of today's episode, you would know that we're talking about Nintendo Directs. We've been waiting for the first Nintendo Direct of 2019 for a while now, and it hasn't happened yet. So with that, I wanted to kind of go back and talk about Nintendo Directs in general, what I think about them, how they've kind of changed the way that Nintendo shares information with us, as well as go over some of my personal favorite moments in Nintendo Direct history. I think Nintendo Directs have been going on since 2012. As a matter of fact, I remember the first one. I want to say it was with Reggie. Like, Reggie was headlining the Nintendo Direct by himself. And I think it was about just a couple, like, Wii U and 3DS games that we already knew about. What's up, guys? And Reggie just kind of sat there on screen for 10 minutes talking about stuff we mostly already knew about. I remember watching it. I can't remember if it's streamed live, but I definitely remember watching it on Nintendo's website and thinking to myself that the whole idea of Reggie sitting there talking about games that we're already aware of was kind of strange. And to be honest, I wasn't into it. And it's funny looking back on that now, considering like how much I love Nintendo Directs and how much I can't wait for the next one to come out. So yeah, it was definitely an experiment for Nintendo. Previously, all of our information would come from either press releases that they would release, maybe just a random drop of announcements that they do on Twitter or their Facebook pages. And of course, the big boy, E3 every June. As well as, I guess, every once in a while they might show something at Tokyo Game Show. They don't seem to hit that particular show as hard as some of the other third-party companies do. But it's weird now. The script has kind of been flipped since then. Nintendo doesn't seem to put a huge emphasis on E3, and they haven't for quite a while. I remember it came as a shock. Was it 2016, I think, was the year that Nintendo said they weren't going to hold, like, a traditional digital event. It was just going to be a single game, and it was Breath of the Wild. And even prior to that, we're on, like, the 6th year of just straight digital events without press conferences specifically. So they've kind of taken that Nintendo Direct model and just kind of molded it right into what we know as E3. So the emphasis on E3 has gone down, and I know I've seen a lot of people who have been disappointed in Nintendo's last several E3s, but I mean, personally, I think that's because they don't want E3 to seem like a bigger deal than just a straight-up Nintendo Direct. Nintendo Directs are how they handle information for us these days. So they don't want E3 to seem like it's kind of taken that spotlight. All of their Nintendo Directs should be seen equally, and I think that's kind of the approach Nintendo has been taking. Conman RDW in the chat says, Nintendo Directs have been the hypest thing to come from Nintendo. They are events. Exactly. I think that's also why they've kind of devalued E3 a little bit, is because they want you to go to them for information. They don't want you going to E3. Well, I mean, they want you going to E3, but they don't want E3 to be the place for Nintendo information. Nintendo Directs directly from Nintendo, that's where the news is. Sandman says he agrees. Conman says a Direct Day is a national holiday. Yeah, it's an event. Like, everybody on the internet who's like a big Nintendo fan, they get hyped, they get excited. We all watch these things together. It's also kind of bred its own form of content creation from Nintendo YouTubers. I mean, such as ourselves. Bigger channels like Roger's Base or Edica World Network have made reacting to Nintendo Direct's kind of a big thing. So you'll, like, after a Nintendo Direct comes out, you'll see a whole bunch of videos of people reacting to the news. And I want to bring that up too, because it's inspired new creators, Etika World Network being one of them. Like, Etika exploded because of his reactions. But it also serves as a replacement for that kind of reaction-based feeling that we would get from watching E3 when it was a stage show, because there was a crowd there and we could watch them cheer and they would clap and they would get excited over video game announcements all together in one room. And while, you know, viewers at home weren't physically there in presence of the stage, they got to feel like they were part of it because they got to see other people being excited about it. I feel like that drums up the positivity on these announcements a little bit. So I think that's why these reaction videos are so popular, is because people miss that. It's filling that void, but it's also serving as a way for Nintendo's games to, get more attention, but for people to get excited about them together. It's kind of like that hive mind thing. Like, if you see one of the big YouTubers getting excited about Joker getting revealed at the Game Awards, and everyone's going to be excited about Joker being revealed at the Game Awards. As Sandman says, it's like Christmas. It's Nintendo Christmas. For the longest time, I've been saying that Nintendo Directs are my second Christmas. And prior to that, it was E3. E3 was my second Christmas. But Nintendo Directs have really changed the game. You look at now, specifically this coming year for E3, Sony isn't even showing up. And, you know, they've also spun off into their own kind of, well, they're still stage shows, but their own prioritized events with, like, PSX or some of their other live streams. And Xbox is doing their own kind of, like, and I don't think it's a weekly show, but I know they're doing their own kind of live stream thing now. Neither of those things really compare to Nintendo Directs, because Nintendo Directs are very frequent. We're looking at like 4 or 5 major ones a year, at least one major Direct per quarter, is kind of the timeline that we've been looking at for that. But, yeah, they just don't seem to stand up to Nintendo Directs, and a lot of that, I think, has to deal with the fact that the Nintendo Directs are usually presented by the same person. I guess that's a good segue into talking about Satoru Iwata, may he rest in peace. Fans got a chance to really connect with Iwata because of all the time that we spent watching him on screen. He was the one delivering the news. He was the news bearer for the fans, and I think that contributed to the way people perceived him a lot. It's the same thing with Reggie, and Reggie got that first because of E3. Obviously, Iwata was at E3 as well, but, you know, Reggie kind of had those memes that evolved from him, like "My body is ready" and whatnot. And the same thing happened to Iwata with some of those Nintendo Direct announcements. Of course, the Nintendo Direct pose that has become ever so famous. We've seen Sakurai do it in some of the Super Smash Bros. Directs, as well as Iwata just holding up a thing of bananas, because I still, to this day, don't know why he held up a bunch of bananas, but he did, and I love it, and the fans love it, and that's why they love Nintendo Directs. They're quirky. They're direct information to you. Directly to you, yes. Conman says the worst thing to happen with Nintendo Directs is a prediction culture that's erupted. Actually, that's a good thing to talk about. You're right. So, like, before every major Nintendo Direct, and this is something we do on the channel as well, you see a lot of videos go up of people predicting what's going to be in the Nintendo Direct. Of course, there are also fake leaks that end up all over the internet, and that kind of drives perception for these Nintendo Directs. And these predictions and these fake leaks, what they do is they make people expect way too much. They make expectations go wild for fans. And oftentimes, that just results in people having negative reactions to Nintendo Directs. I think November 1st? For the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct, the very last one before launch, there was the huge Grinch leak, right? Everybody was expecting all these extra characters. When there was a counter leak or a counter rumor saying that there would just be two more character reveals, being Ken and Incineroar. And I remember the reactions to that Direct being so negative. So many people, whining that there wasn't 8 million more characters, or that, they were even complaining about how Spirits Mode was presented, and I think there's some actual good criticism there. But they were finding a lot of ways just to kind of tear the direct down when, in all honesty, it was a pretty good presentation. But that's why I wanted to talk about it, because that Grinch leak and Annual leak, honestly, and the prediction videos, they cause perception to Nintendo Directs to go south, and it pretty much happens every single time these days, especially Twitch chat. Never watch Nintendo Directs and look at the Twitch chat. It's awful. You will just get Smash spam, Animal Crossing spam, and then as soon as as soon as the thing's over and one or two of those things weren't in the direct, they could have an announcement that they actually wanted and people would still be upset. So yeah, that's kind of a thing about Nintendo Directs that I don't think is ever going to go away. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast. People would be upset after E3s as well. E3s were not immune to that kind of prediction culture, and they never have been, and they still aren't to this day. Let's see. Sandman says, I'm not a huge fan of all the predictions either. It's nice to make guesses about what we might get and the fake leaks. Conman says, yeah, it's just people start writing on those dates. It gets kind of toxic. Sandman says, all these people saying Sakurai worked so hard. Thank you, Sakurai, for everything. Then when a fake leak comes out and doesn't come true, it's all hate. At least from what I have seen. You're right. The people are so quick to turn around and, yell at Sakurai for not doing something that, for the most part, is usually completely unreasonable. He said not to expect many characters, and guess what people did? They expected many characters. But, that's more of a separate discussion. So, Mosaic says, so you're mad that people didn't leak classified game information? I don't know where you're getting that. I don't see the leak culture I don't care about the leaks necessarily. Like, I don't care if someone leaks information. I'll probably stay out of my way, so that I don't see that kind of stuff. The thing I'm saying is that leak culture perpetuates negative reactions to Nintendo Directs when a lot of the leaks are fake and those things don't come true in the Direct, and then people are all mad over something that they were never promised. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so like if something that's real gets leaked, that's one thing, but if something is fake and that gets leaked and people expect it, that's where the problem lies. Yeah, I'm not hating on leaks in general. I'm trying to hone in on that. Let's see. Nintendo Directs have changed over the last, how long has it been? 7 years? 7 years since Nintendo Directs started. They started, like I said, as those short 10-minute presentations with Reggie sitting at a chair in his office talking about a few things that we already know about. Then they steadily evolved into these big events, revealing things that we didn't expect. And after Iwata passed away, they kind of changed to a new format that they've pretty much stuck with since then. They've all been hosted by Yoshiaki Koizumi, where they do kind of like the timeline thing where they used to do it like top to bottom, where you could see headlines before like they arrived at it during the Direct, but now they do it kind of left to right. They don't necessarily tease what's next, but you can kind of see the line of announcements that are on the way. And they're a lot more fast-paced. Nintendo Directs used to be super slow, like there'd be long slogs of just information that is either too detailed, specifically like maybe they're talking about an RPG, and they just get super detailed into how the RPG combat system works, and that's not necessarily something you want to put in a general Direct, but rather in a focused Direct specifically for that kind of experience. They've gotten away from that. They've actually done some pretty cool things with their most recent Directs. They're kind of spitfire, lots of announcements. They don't spend too long on any one thing, and it keeps people's attention. Kind of going back a little bit, Mosaic Art says, the current supposed DLC leak is something I hope is fake, because I'd be disappointed with the new characters, to be honest, or actually it'd ruin the surprise. It's funny you say that. It kind of goes back to what I was saying. Fake leaks change the way you perceive the real announcement when the announcement shows up. if the supposed character had been announced without a leak ever happening, would you feel different about it? I guess that's part of the discussion as well. Yeah, I've kind of stayed away personally from DLC speculation. I know what character you're talking about, or characters rather. So let's kind of refocus the conversation a little bit, and talk about some of our favorite Nintendo Direct moments. You guys can participate in the chat as well. Tell me what some of your favorite Nintendo Direct moments since 2012 are. I'll go ahead and give you some of mine, and it was actually one that is fairly young in the Nintendo Direct line of presentations. I think it was 2013, January 2013, was a legendary Direct. I think that's the one that announced Hyrule Warriors, Dr. Luigi, and then dropped it the same day. This might also have been 2014, January. Or correct me if I'm wrong. But the big thing about this Direct was this was the first time a Super Smash Bros. Character was being revealed in a Nintendo Direct, and nobody was really expecting that. E3 was, 6-7 months prior, and we were pretty much in a drought. It was like Brawl. After Brawl was announced, I don't think we got a character reveal for like 6 or 7 months, and, then there was a steady stream of character reveals, but it was a big drought. And we were kind of going through that with Smash 4. But then they started this trailer, which was Rainbow Road. There was all the Mario Kart characters racing around on the track. Then Kirby shows up, and they've got I think it was Kirby Air Ride music playing in the background, and I was like, is this a Kirby Air Ride 2 announcement? And it completely threw me off. But then, of course, Rosalina drops down into frame, and it's a character trailer for Rosalina and Luma. One of my most anticipated characters for Smash Brothers. Excuse me. So it was a pretty good moment for me because it was a character I wanted, and it was also a moment where I wasn't expecting a character. It made me so hype. A comment saying it made him mad. I was a little salty we weren't getting Kirby Air Ride 2, but at the same time, we were getting more Smash news, and Rosalina and Luba were coming to Smash Brothers. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that is one of the standout Nintendo Direct memories for me. That's the first time I can honestly say I freaked out at a Nintendo Direct. And that kind of cemented the way I perceived Nintendo Directs from the future, from then on, because we talked about expectations. And then every major Direct from that point onward basically announced a brand new character, which was kind of cool. So, they kind of became an event during the Smash 4 era. Ooh, what character is going to get announced during this Direct? It kind of brought focus away from everything else, overshadowed some stuff. But, we've gotten away from that. It's kind of weird. It was kind of weird being in an era of Nintendo Directs without Smash Brothers characters to be announced, because they rode that train from 2013 all the way to 2016, I think, when Bayonetta finally released. And then, we were waiting for the Switch to get announced. Then the Switch got announced. Then we had the January Switch presentation. And then we had a year of just Switch games, a lot of Switch, first-party Switch games. And then we finally got right back on the Smash train in March of 2018. And then we did the exact same thing. Every Direct was going to have some kind of Smash Brothers character announcement. So I kind of closely tie that as well. I know it's not specifically a Nintendo Direct. It's, it's an E3 Direct, but E3 2018, the Everybody Is Here trailer for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Seeing Snake appear on screen is one of the greatest moments in my entire career as a gamer, I think. That freaked me out. It was so awesome. There's video of that on the channel. You dig back, you can find our reaction to that. Conman says, any Direct with Smash reveals at the end, those were highlights for sure. I remember the Bayonetta reveal from Smash Ballot. Super hype. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let me guys know if you have any of your own major Nintendo Direct memories that stand out to you. I think another one for me was the reveal of Majora's Mask 3D, because that was a game I wanted for a long time, and they certainly waited a long time to tell us about it. It's funny, though, because literally the day before, they told us that Majora's Mask 3D just, was not wasn't a thing at the time. And the very next day, during a Nintendo Direct, they announced Majora's Mask 3D, and I'm like, okay, hello! Anything's possible. Conman says, also remembering the E3 Direct for Mario Odyssey where Jump Up Superstar played for the first time. Ugh, magic. Yeah, another fantastic moment. Also, when we learned that Mario could possess enemies in that game. Super cool. I actually watched the Easy Allies react to that one today, because I'd never seen the reaction to that trailer. Go check those guys out, by the way. They're pretty awesome. I had one more, like, major direct moment that I wanted to bring up, but it's slipping my mind. Yes. There was a Nintendo 3DS Direct that was Japan only. And I remembered watching it because I wanted to know what was up. In that Direct, they announced Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate, or Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, or in Japan it was Monster Hunter Tri G. And I freaked out because I was a brand new fan of Monster Hunter. I played Monster Hunter Tri for over 1,000 hours on my Wii. You heard that right. One of the Monster Hunter games with the least content I played for over 1,000 hours. Came out in high school. I had a lot of free time. But that wasn't all. Right after they revealed Tri G for Nintendo 3DS, they debuted their trailer for Monster Hunter 4, which is probably the best Monster Hunter game ever made, at least until Monster Hunter World. Yeah, that trailer blew my mind. That might be my best E3 memory ever, because I got completely blindsided. I got the one Monster Hunter announcement, but then they went and gave me a second one. One I was not expecting. Conman says, is this Monster Hunter? Mario pops out a T-Rex. Oh, it's Mario! Yeah, great trailer. Yeah, so those are pretty much my favorite Nintendo Direct memories that I can think of. And, it's just fun to kind of think back and talk about the Nintendo Directs of the past and just what Nintendo Directs have done. How they've changed the industry, obviously, because Xbox and PlayStation kind of followed suit. Mosaic Arts says, I don't have much of one. I mean, that's fine. Everyone probably has one. They might not remember. Like I said, it's been 7 years since Nintendo Directs even began. Saying that out loud is crazy to me, and it makes me feel like an old man. You only started really watching them last year. Okay, so it was kind of like during the return of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, or Super Smash Bros. Reveals in Nintendo Directs. So, yeah, that's understandable. But that's enough direct talk for today. We spent half an hour on that. We'll go ahead and get into the Nintendo news for the week. The first story is kind of an interesting one, and also it has to deal with Super Smash Bros. I'm pulling this from BG247. They did an interview with Hideaki Itsuno. I guess he's the current man behind Devil May Cry. He took over from the second game on, instead of Kamiya, because I think Hideki Kamiya did the first game. Conman says, you're doing great for a solo act. Thank you very much. And I'll quote him here. He says, well, you think about it. I'm pretty sure that all the characters in Smash, at least have some game on a Nintendo platform, right? Itsuno said after a bit of a chuckle. There's Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, too, he notes. But as Itsuno points out, Cloud at least represents a series with a rich history on Nintendo. Well, that's the thing. Devil May Cry has never been on a Nintendo platform, so it seems like the first thing to do would be to get Capcom to put Devil May Cry on a Nintendo platform in some way, shape, or form. Whatever game that might be, Itsuno concludes. Tell her, he adds with a laugh, gesturing to the Capcom UK rep who can pass feedback on fevered requests for some DMC Switch ports back up the chain. So I guess what he's saying here is don't expect Dante for Smash at the moment, but let's try to get some Devil May Cry games on Switch. I think is a good idea, because that's a series I want to get into. I've never quite had the chance. I have played its sister series, Bayonetta, and I love Bayonetta, so I'd probably like Devil May Cry. So yeah, just a neat thing to talk about. So, I don't want to say, like, scratch Dante off your list of potential characters, because for all we know, people, he could just be lying. At the same time, don't let that affect your expectations. I know it's a hard balance to strike, isn't it? Moving on, Famitsu has given us Super Smash Bros. Ultimate download numbers for Japan, and that brings us to a whopping 309,229 downloads of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in Japan, just in Japan alone. I think the game surpassed, what was it, like 11 or 12 million units sold the last time we had an update on that during the financial report. So I'm imagining that contributes to this number. I don't know for sure, but we can double check on that. But still, it's an impressive number. You'll see a lot of these games not sell as well in Japan, but that's just been the case for pretty much any game in Japan. So don't let 309,000 downloads sound bad to you, because it's not. Moving on, Nintendo has spoken up about the Piranha Plant All-Star Mode glitch that supposedly corrupts your save data. Though, if you have Nintendo Switch Online and Cloud Save Data Backup, this honestly isn't a problem for you, because you can just re-download your save data. Welcome back, Sandman. So this comes directly from Nintendo. They say, "We are aware that some users are posting about possible issues with the latest Super Smash Bros. Ultimate update. After extensive testing, Nintendo has not been able to confirm that there is an issue, although we will continue to investigate and monitor the situation." Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. I honestly, like, after, the news had broken that playing as Piranha Plant in All-Star Mode would corrupt your save file, I haven't done it. I've heard reports from friends who have done it in All-Star Mode and haven't had their saves corrupted, but I've heard from friends of friends that their saves have been corrupted. So what's going on here? I don't know. But apparently, Nintendo is not able to replicate the issue. At least that's what they're telling us right now. I imagine they are actively trying to figure out what's going on. They're not going to leave this kind of bug in the game if it's actually in there. For all we know, it's not just playing Piranha Plant in All-Star Mode that causes the problem. There might be something in relation to that that causes the issue. I just don't know at this point. But they claim that they're going to keep working on it, and hopefully they figure out what the issue is and get that resolved as soon as possible. Until then, I guess just stay safe and don't play All-Star Mode with Piranha Plant. I know I won't. Moving on, Nintendo Switch Online NES games for February were revealed for North America, and that includes Super Mario Bros. 2, Doki Doki Panic, and Kirby's Adventure. These are two games that I was surprised to not see just on NES Online after it was launched from the get-go. So I'm happy to see Mario 2 here as well as Kirby's Adventure. I love both of these games. I've really had a hankering to play Super Mario Bros. 2 lately as well. So I'm glad to finally be getting the opportunity. We have had those rumors about SNES games coming to Switch Online this year. Nintendo themselves has said that they want to continually to add new services year over year, which was an update to that story today. And hopefully that means more consoles being supported on NES Online, or I guess it would just be Nintendo Switch Classic games online at that point. Excuse me. So hopefully that all pans out and we get some cool stuff, but I'm happy that these two games are on the way. In addition to that, we do have some more kind of online related news. I'm getting this. Let me open it up quickly. I'm getting this from VentureBeat. Nintendo gets, is it Vivox or Vivox? Let me know if I'm saying it wrong. Vivox text and voice chat for Switch games. So this is the, I guess this is the voice chat system they've been using for Fortnite on Nintendo Switch. And basically, this is becoming available to all third-party developers to use for voice chat in Nintendo Switch games. So they will not be forced to use the Nintendo Switch Online app system for voice chat. It's all going to work pretty much the way it does in Fortnite, and I think that's pretty cool. A Vivox spokesperson says it was a happy coincidence, but we had been in the working with Nintendo to bring this to all Switch developers for a few months. The Switch has been a hotbed for indie development. One example of the success comes from Monster Boy, which sold 8 times more on Nintendo's console than it did on PS4 and Xbox One combined. We are always trying to expand our services to more developers, and the Nintendo Switch has clearly become a solid online gaming platform for users and developers. We wanted to make sure we could have a product that would deliver the best possible voice chat experience to Switch users, and that was what we've been focusing on. So yeah, that's pretty cool to have that coming. Because I know a lot of people are not happy with the way voice chat works on the Switch right now, myself included. So this will be an option for third-party developers. Unfortunately, that doesn't change anything on the first-party side for Nintendo. I guess we're gonna be stuck using Discord for a long time, I think. But still. And then there's this, probably the biggest news story of the week. I'm getting this story from Engadget. They say Xbox Live will soon connect players on Android, iOS, and Nintendo Switch. And I know everyone's just double taken right now if you hadn't heard this yet. But let me go ahead and read kind of part of their message here. They said, you've had a degree of access to Xbox Live beyond Microsoft's platforms for a while, but usually just to chat with friends or see what they're playing. Deeper hooks are reserved for its own games. Soon, though, that support will become more substantial. A Microsoft session at the upcoming GDC, Games Developers Conference, mentions that Xbox Live will soon have a cross-platform developer kit that integrates the service into Android, iOS, and Switch games. You'd have your achievements, clubs, your friend list, and more while on the move, and could pick up on some experiences where you left off. The upcoming session will provide a first look at the kit. You shouldn't expect titles to support Xbox Live for a while, even if the software toolkit or toolbox is complete by the time GDC starts. So this is some interesting news. We know that Nintendo and Microsoft have been kind of buddy-buddy. They've been partnering on some things. Obviously, we have Minecraft on the platform. And Nintendo was kind of a big proponent alongside Microsoft in supporting crossplay. And this just seems like another step in some kind of partnership between the two companies. From what I understand, this would just work with games that are available on Xbox Live, but I guess you would have trophies. That is not what you get on Xbox. You get achievements on Xbox. This is a Nintendo show. Don't blame me. Yeah, your achievements, clubs, friends list, and just all those kinds of features would be cross-compatible between Switch, iOS, Android, and your Xbox One, which is kind of crazy to me. Who knows what all this could possibly mean, assuming all this is true at the upcoming GDC, so definitely keep your eyes on that so we kind of understand, all of the implications of this. Does this mean that Banjo's going to be in Smash? I don't know. This could mean absolutely nothing in the end. Who knows? So at this point, I wouldn't be super surprised if we saw Banjo in Smash or some other kind of Microsoft representative. This is an interesting move, and I'm interested in seeing what happens. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on that. There isn't much more we can say because we don't know a lot, and we don't even know if it's true at the same time. And then, speaking of things that we don't know about, Nintendo has commented on all of the rumors about a Switch Mini coming out this year, and they said exactly what you think I'm about to say. We have nothing to announce on this topic. Well, we know that they've done this in the past, and then right afterwards have announced, the thing that they denied existed. I said that earlier with Majora's Mask 3D, because the day before that game got announced, they denied it was even real. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Who knows? There probably is some kind of Switch miniature model coming because Animal Crossing and Pokemon are coming out this year, and they want Switches in hands so that people are eating up the software. Switch Mini is going to probably cater to younger children so that, parents aren't breaking the bank buying a Switch for each of their kids. Because that's where they have to go to play Pokemon now. You're not going out and buying an $80 Nintendo 2DS. That's just not the way it is. So this is a good idea if that's what they're working on, and it's only going to get more Switches in more hands. I know people want a Switch Pro model. I do think that will happen at some point, but they have to prioritize volume of Switches before they start prioritizing a niche console like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Switch Mini outpaces the actual Switch hardware. Because I think there are going to be more kids than there are us, adults. But I could be wrong. Who knows? But that's just what I think about the whole thing. Uh, and then we have some third-party news. Civilization 6 on Nintendo Switch exceeded expectations, and more support is coming. I'm getting this from My Nintendo News. And they got this from Games Industry. They said, "We felt good about the platform, and we put the titles on Switch that we felt were going to perform well. We are excited about continuing to support the Switch for the right kind of properties." So this is good. This is just the continuing tale of third-party companies putting their games on Switch. They're actually performing well, and the third-party companies want to continue to work with Nintendo and put their games on the system. It's beautiful. This is the first time in a long, long time that Nintendo has been in this kind of position, and it's really exciting to see. So, looking forward to see what else they bring to the platform. In addition to that, and this goes right along with what I just said, Capcom says that Mega Man 11 and X Legacy Collection had strong sales. They also said this for the Street Fighter collection that came out early in the Switch's life. So Capcom is having success with Nintendo Switch games. This also ranged true for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, I want to say, which I think achieved 1.2 million sales. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that was the number. And that is just a port. Imagine if a brand new Monster Hunter game landed on Switch, like something as impactful as Monster Hunter World. What kinds of numbers could we expect to see on the platform, or for these games, when they're bringing the newest titles first? So I think it's pretty exciting what's been happening here. And again, Wargroove, they broke even in the first 3 days on sale. And obviously, they didn't just release on Nintendo Switch, but they released on PC and Xbox One as well. But it's just cool to know that these games are selling well and that Nintendo is part of their success. Boy, I'd lose my mind, and boy, I'd lose my mind. Guys, boy, I'd lose my mind. And because of that success, Wargroove will be getting some DLC and some additional post-launch content. I'm getting that from My Nintendo News as well. So yeah, when games do well, they get supported post-launch. When games do well on Switch, more games come to Switch. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, ladies and gentlemen. And that brings us to the end of all of the major news that... I say major, because major is the most appropriate word here. That's pretty much all the major news for Nintendo this week. I know we're running a little bit short, but that's because I'm full on motor mouth right now, if you couldn't tell. And this is the first time I'm doing a show by myself. Let me know what you think. We were just kind of forced into this position just due to some scheduling conflicts, so sorry about that. Logan will be here next week, hopefully. And we also have the Breakdown podcast coming early next week as well. So keep on the lookout for that. If you haven't, go wish Logan a happy birthday on his Twitter at LokiDubs or in the Discord server. The link to that in the description below. Conman saying Apex Legends could come to Switch. That'd be hype. Yeah, it would. Hopefully Panic Button takes care of that. I think they could do it. Yeah, that's going to do it all for me. You can follow me at my Twitter, which is right below me in the video version. That's at Babababs. You can follow everyone here at the channel as a collective at Breakroom Arcade. Go ahead and follow Logan at LoggyDubs while you're at it. Go wish him a happy birthday. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, go ahead and drop us a like. And maybe subscribe too if you want to see more. So I'm going to say thanks for supporting us. Holy cow, I've been talking so much, my mouth is super dry. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I have to go and drink some water. Hopefully some Nintendo news, some bigger Nintendo news comes out next week. We want that direct. We're starving for a direct. I made a picture of Yoshi eating a direct symbol because I'm going crazy over it. Yes. Don't let it get in the way of your lives, folks. Nintendo Directs will come when they're ready. Don't be like me. Hydrate. Yeah, Conman's right. Hydrate. Drink water. Don't let yourself die. And then come back on this show, and we'll talk more stuff. So, thanks again, guys, for checking out the show. It always means a lot to me to see you guys here. So, We will see you next time. Don't break your backs, breaking the games, but for now, break time's over.